All right, friends. Today we are going to be taking a look at place value chart, but in this case, we are actually going to be looking at expanded form and standard notation form. I'm sorry, expanded notation form. I keep saying that. So I'm actually going to use this place value chart, okay? And it's similar to the place value chart that you had, but I want you to see that on this place value chart, this right here is going to be your value, okay? That is what a number is worth. It is the value that we give it, okay? Whether it be thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. And then this bottom part is going to be your digit. We have digits, and those digits are 0 to 9. There's no value other than that they are 0 to 9. They are worth 0 to 9, depending on which number you give it. But there is the only value there in the ones. Okay, they're all ones, but they are 0 to 9 here. The value depends on where we put it on the chart. 0 to 9 digits, the value's on the chart. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at a number. Okay, I'm just going to start at the decimal point, and there's a reason that I start at the decimal point. And let me use a darker color for my decimal point just so you can see it better. I always start at the decimal point. I always line up my decimal points because it gives me a point to start at. Okay, and it's an easy point to remember because I can just go like this, and then I know it's a 3, 7, 8, 5, 2. If I move that way, then I don't have to figure out what the value is before I've even started. So now we're looking at 3, 7, 8, 5, 2. The other thing that I put on these normally, and it's missing from this one, is my comma, okay, to separate the different values. So the comma here separates the hundreds from the thousands. It separates the thousands from the millions. So as you can see, we need our comma in order to keep ourselves organized, so to speak, when it looks at numbers. It helps us to determine the value without really thinking too hard about it. Okay, so we have done expanded form. We've done this time and time again. You guys are pretty good at expanded form. So we start with the digit, and that's going to be a big thing that we need to remember. We start with the digit. We write the 2, and then we count our zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, look, we're at 20,000. Okay? So we have 20,000. That is the expanded form. And then we go to the next digit, and we have a 5, and we have 1, 2, 3. So we are at 5,000. And then we start with the 8 because that's the next digit. And it should be valued at 100. So there's 2 zeros there, 800. And then we have the 7, which is valued at a 10. So it's 7 and 1 0. And then we have a 3, which is valued as just that, the 3, the digit. So we start with a digit and then we add its value. We start with a digit and then we add its value. We start with a digit, add its value until we run out of digits and values. All right, that's pretty simple. Now I'm going to teach you how to do expanded notation form. And the reason that we do expanded notation form is because you need to figure out where that expanded form came from. Okay? So there's some rules when we do expanded notation form. There's some rules that we have to follow. One of those rules is that we start with parentheses. Remember how I said we like to keep things neat and organized? We give them commas, we give the end periods or decimal points, we give them plus signs. We put things in parentheses. It helps us keep things organized so we know which number goes with which number, which digit goes with which number, which digit goes with which value. Okay, so in this case, we start with my first rule. Number 1, in parentheses, and like I said, this helps us keep it organized. In parentheses, write the digit that is farthest left. Okay, so in this case, my digit that's farthest left is going to be this 2. Let me move this cord here. It's going to be the 2. That is the one that is farthest to the left. So let me grab a different color so we can see. We start with 2. It's farthest left, and I'm going to start it in parentheses. So I've got my 2, right? I'm not done, so I'm not going to end the parentheses yet. Now we have to determine how many jumps it takes from the decimal point, or from the ones, to get to that 2. Remember, each jump is worth times 10. Its value is times 10. So every time we jump, it's times 10, times 10, times 10. Okay? That gives us a value. Don't count it as 1, 2, 3 jumps. Count it as times 10, times 10, times 10. I write times 10 however many times I jump. Okay? Starting here, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, or times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10. So I need 4 times 10s. Times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 10. 4 times 10. That is expanded notation form for that particular number. It is the digit times the value. The digit times the value. That gives me my times 10s, okay? So underneath it, I'm going to show you a more tight version of expanded notation form, and it can be written either way. In this case, we always write that digit, but then I can do the multiplication for that. So 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 is, we write the 1, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 2 times 10,000. If I multiply that out, the 2 times the 10,000, that would mean that I end up with 20,000. Look at that. It's also our expanded form. So now I have 20,000. Okay, well, so now I need to add the plus sign because, again, we're adding these together. Okay, and let me actually write out my next rule because I forgot to write out that next rule. So what did we do? Well, we started at the decimal. And we counted jumps to the digit. Okay, and then on top of that, it was times 10 for every jump. Every time we jump, we write times 10. Okay, pretty simple. So the next part that we have to do, let's add our next step. We write the next digit. Write the next digit in line. And then finally, we just repeat. Repeat steps 1 through 3. Okay, so repeat steps 1 through 3. Let me move that up so you can get at least that particular information. This would be a time to pause it so that you can take your notes. Pause it so that you can take your notes. And then I'm going to show you just how we do exactly what it says to do. Okay, so let me pull that back down so you can see it. We are going to go ahead and we are going to start with the next digit in line. So the next digit, if you're doing this with me, is that's right, it's a 5. Okay, now the 5, we're going to start, I'm not even following my steps. We're going to start with the parentheses. I'm going to write the 5. Okay, now we got to see how many times 10s we need. So we have times 10, times 10, times 10. Well, I said it 3 times, so it would be times 10, times 10, times 10. 3 of those. Okay, underneath it, I'm going to show you the other version of the expanded notation form. I like to say that the wrong way. So we add this, and then we put down the digit, and then we do the multiplication. What is 10 times 10 times 10? Well, 10 times 10 is 100 times 10. I put my 1 down, and it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 zeros. Okay? So my next one is 5 times 1,000. 5 times 1,000 will give me 5,000. Okay? And the even cooler thing is, so we've got 2 times 10,000 equals 20,000. Two 10,000s, 20,000. This one is 5 times 1,000, and it's 5,000. It's worth 5,000. So we know that as we go, they are sitting right there. We have our digits and our value. Our digit, our value. Our digit, our value. Our digit, our value. See my point? All right, next digit in line. What's my next digit in line? Well, we've got the 8. The 8 is just a digit, and it's valued at hundreds. So this should end up equaling out to be 800. So let's start our parentheses, and I've got my 8 times, and let's find out how many tens. Well, times 10 times 10. Times 10, wrong color, sorry, times 10 times 10, right? 8 times 10 times 10. Well, that's simple. 8 times 10 times 10. Let's do it a little bit nice and neat. So we've got 8 times, and I've got my 1 and my 2 zeros. 8 times 100, also known as 800. Okay? Our times 10 start to go down as we go further down our value chart. So we have 7. Okay? We start by writing, I'm going to get my plus sign down here because I'm going on the next line. I write my digit 7, and it should be 7 tens, right? 7 tens. Let's see how many times we jump with my 7 tens. Start here, I jump a times 10. 7 times 10. Now in this case, there's no way to break that down any further, so this bottom part is also 7 times 10. It's already broken down. If I multiplied it up, it would be 70. 70. So 7 times 10 equals 70. Good. Last one that we're looking at, we have a 3. He's sitting in the 1 spot, so we're looking at a 3, so we have to write down in parentheses. We write down our digit, our 3. Well, we don't jump anywhere, so it's 3 times 1. And the bottom one is the same. 3 times 1, because 3 times 1 is, well, it's 3. 3 times the value 1 is 3. 7 times the value 10 is 7. 8 times the value 100 is 800. 5 times the value 1,000 is 5,000. 2 times the value 10,000 is 20,000. So you see, you can work this backwards and forwards. Okay, I can do that again. 3 times the value 1, the digit 3 times the value 1, ends up being 3 times 1. And then we go 7 times the value 10. Look at that, 7 times the value 10. And then we go even further. 8 times the value 100. 8 times 100. Ready? 5 is the digit times the value 1,000 is 5,000. And 2 times the 10,000, that's the value. 2 times 10,000 ends up being 20,000. And when we smush all that together, we end up with 25,873. Okay? So if you know the value and the digit, if you can figure out the digit and the value, then you can figure out what each one of these numbers means and where it belongs in the place value system. Now tomorrow we'll work with tenths and hundredths, maybe into the thousands, but we're going to start with tenths and hundredths. So we'll see that when we jump to the other direction, when we jump this way, we end up dividing. So to the left, we multiply for the value. To the right, we divide to find the value. That's why it's tenths and hundredths, and this is tens and hundreds. But we will talk more about that tomorrow.